Hello guys, Civilian Soldier 762 here, and today I just wanted to do a quick review on a gun that I've had for going on 2 years. I think I got it a couple months into 2011, maybe like March or something, and it's a Walther P22. When these guns first came out, you know, they were kind of controversial. They had some problems with feeding and stuff like that, and that's mostly been resolved by, by the newer production models. I'd say 2010 or newer, maybe 2011. This gun, it's been a fun, great little gun. I put several thousand rounds through it, no issues. I've done a couple things to it to make it, more reliable. There's a great resource called the P22 Bible. You can Google that and it'll give you tons of just different little tweaks you can do to this gun to make it function better, function smoother, just more reliable. The general purpose of this gun is just going to be something like a range gun, a plinker, something that you could take your girlfriend, wife, child shooting, to teach them to use a firearm with something that's less, less recoil. If they're recoil sensitive, you don't want to scare them, by handing them your 9mm, your 45, and make them not like shooting. So this is great for that. Another thing with this gun is it functions basically like most semi-auto pistols do. It replicates a regular semi-auto style pistol, which is great. Before this gun came out, there weren't really too many, if any, decent guns that I'm aware of that function like that. I mean, you have like your Ruger 2245s or Mark IIIs, which are great guns, but they really aren't, a standard semi-auto style pistol, the way they function and take down and stuff. So this gun, it was pretty cool when it came out. Right now, what's on the market, there's a lot of different 22 semi-auto pistols that are out that are, pretty good guns now. If I was gonna make a purchase all over again, and with the guns that are available today, I would probably honestly go with something like GSG 1911, or say the Ruger SR22 if I wanted something like this, which is very comparable in size and function and everything to this gun. I'll get to it in a minute, the difference between the two. This Walther here, it's a polymer frame lower. Your slide is actually cast. It's like a cast hot metal, which kind of sucks, but for what it is, it's fine. I've seen some of the older ones that have had, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10,000 rounds through them, have actually developed a crack in the slide. But one thing that leads to that, I'll show you when I take it down, and it's something you can take care of right off the bat. And I don't know, I think it might even be something that Walther has remedied. Another thing with this gun, it's a double action, single action, which is nice. It's it comes with only one magazine, which kind of sucks, but mags for this, they're actually not, the magazines are actually pretty nice. They've got a little follower here, like helps you load assist, load the mags. They hold 10 rounds. I believe you can modify these to hold 11 or 12, but for me it's really not that big of an issue. If I need more rounds for what the gun's for, I'll just, more mags, buy more mags. This gun has a magazine safety. When the magazine's out, you can't engage the trigger or the hammer. So to take this gun down, you need to put the magazine in. Takedown for this gun is actually very simple, and reassembly is simple once you know what you're doing. You've got, like a lot of semi-auto pistols, right here you've got this little takedown lever. You just on both sides grab it with your thumbs and push it down, and then once it's pushed down, you will basically just bring the slide back, lift up, and go forward. Be easy not to let your recoil spring shoot out. And what you have is just your recoil spring here and your guide rod. And one thing that can be tricky is putting these back together at first. What they give you with the gun is this little plastic rod here, and you stick that in the recoil spring with the guide rod, and you'll put that in your slide, and then what you do is you push your guide rod and recoil spring back through the front, and then you grab it with one finger. You'll put the frame back on and reassemble it. Now what I do is a little different. I don't use that plastic piece because, I mean, obviously if you're at the range or somewhere, you know, or out shooting, you're not going to have this with you most of the time. What I do is I'll just compress it by hand, and I think this is actually easier too. I'll compress it by hand, hold it, the spring back with one finger, take it, stick it in here. Ah, crap. Now that I'm doing it on camera, I'm obviously screwing it up, but normally it's not that hard. Take it, stick it in there, push it through, grab it with your hand, and you'll take the frame, stick it back in, let it find its hole. There you go. Make sure your takedown lug is still down. Bring the slide back, push your takedown lug up, and it's reassembled. Not hard at all. One thing that's great about this gun, it's actually fairly compact in size, which, you know, I've got large hands, so a small gun sometimes is hard for me to shoot, but not this. This is actually very simple for me to shoot. You know, it's really easy, and that's good too, because, you know, your wife or training your kid on how to shoot. This comes with two different size back straps. One of them is a little, I got the bigger one on there, it kind of swells out to fill your hand, and the other one, it's not really a whole lot of difference, it's just a little bit smaller, you can see. So you have that option, but really, for a small gun, this really fits about every hand size great. It really feels good in your hand. It's a good feeling gun. It's fun to shoot. I kind of wish it had a little bit better sights. The sights aren't that great on it. They're not terrible, but they're just kind of a cheap plastic sight. You get 3 or 4 different size front sight posts, I believe. So you can't really adjust these for windage or elevation or anything, I don't believe. Well, actually, I take that back. There is a screw on this. You might actually be able to adjust it for windage. But for elevation, your front sight, basically when you have the slide off, you'll just pop it out from the bottom, and you can put a different height front sight on there. One thing that they do sell for these that I've seen some people use is a little laser that comes on the front here. So then you have like a little red laser for shooting, which, I mean, at the distances that I shoot this gun, that's not really necessary. It's just fun for shooting steel plates or, you know, just basically static style shooting from a range or something. One thing I do like about this though is, you know, being that it replicates a regular semi-auto full-size gun, it lets you train with a gun that's similar and lets you, you know, keep similar muscle memory at fractions of the cost. You know, shooting 22 is cheap, so that's a plus about it. The only really thing that's much different between this and my standard sidearm is the mag release. But if you use a Walther gun, like their PPS or, you know, something like that, likely it's going to have the same slide release. This right here, or mag release, I'm sorry. Right here is how you release your magazine. Oh, there it goes. Instead of like your traditional, you know, gun, you're going to have a button you push to release the mag. So that's about it. One thing, this construction of this slide, I don't know if I said that or not, it's a pot metal, which kind of sucks. You know, and it can develop cracks over time after, you know, lots of shooting if you don't do a certain modification. And I'll show you a couple of the modifications I did. The first one was this hammer here, and actually Walther has remedied this, I know, on the newer models. Mine actually came with a newer style hammer, but I still did a little more to it. If you can see, Let me get a better shot here. On the hammer, the shape of it here, on the original ones, they're kind of just like come up and they're squared. And it takes a little higher velocity ammunition because when you shoot it, you have to, the slide has to, when it cycles, has to push that hammer back. So, some of your cheaper, like Federal, bulk packs, something like that, problems with feeding. But what you can do to remedy that is you can take a Dremel or some sandpaper, even a file, and just lightly round that off a little bit and polish it really good. You don't want to take too much, because if you do, then the slide will not push the hammer enough to engage, where you won't have single action. It'll be like a double action pistol only unless you manually engage it. So you want to be careful when you do that, but it lightens the amount of pressure it takes to push that slide down, and it cycles a little smoother, so you'll be able to use some of your bulk ammo. I found that the Remington Golden bullets work really well for this. I've hardly ever had any issues with shooting the Remingtons. At first when I got this, I tried like the Winchesters or the Federals, and probably every second or third round would jam. Once it's broken, after a couple thousand rounds, I can shoot the Federals out of it, but I still have the occasional hang up, so the Remingtons work best for me. And obviously CCIs are great too, if you want to spend the money on them. But another modification for this that you can find in the Walther P22 Bible, which is, like I said, it's a great resource to look up, and it'll tell you all different things you can do to this gun. When you get it, there's these little ears on the trigger. I don't know if you can see it. See right there? That metal? Those actually ride in these grooves right there on the slide, and when they do, they can dig into your slide, and they'll put a little serration in there in the cut in this pot metal, and it over a long period of time can develop a crack. So basically what you do, it's a very simple fix, is those ears, how they're squared, you'll just kind of round the edges off on them, and that will solve that problem. Like I did it to mine when I first got it, and I haven't developed any type of scratch or indentation or anything in there. So, that works perfect. That's a great remedy to that situation. The cost of these guns are, it depends where you go. You could probably find the cheapest $300, high is probably $350 or so. Which, like I was saying, if I was going to buy one now, I would probably go with the Ruger SR22, just for the simple fact that the slide is actually a machined, I believe it's steel. It's a machined slide. It's not cast pot metal like this. So for that alone, I'd probably go with the Ruger SR22. And I believe, from what I've seen, it's a pretty good gun, and it costs right about the same as this. But I have been very pleased with this. It's been a fun gun, great to shoot. Obviously it was not very expensive. I think I paid $329 for it. And, it is what it is. I like how the grip fits me great, which I have large hands, and it also fits my wife great. And she has small hands, so it gets her to go shooting with me. Another thing about this gun is it comes with a threaded barrel, so you can take that barrel nut off, and it allows you to put an adapter that'll take any 1/2x28 sound suppressor, or what, any 1/2x28 threaded device will go on there, and so that's a nice option to have. A lot of people run silencers or suppressors on these. And one thing you want to do, when you break this gun down to clean it, is tighten that. Make sure that barrel nut is tightened, because if that starts to come loose a little bit, it'll affect your accuracy. The only other thing I really did on this gun also is I polished the feed ramp a little bit, which I don't know if you can see that or not. But yeah, it's a fun gun to shoot, easy maintenance, easy to take down and put back together. So if you're looking for a little 22, maybe for your wife or kids, or even for you just to go to the range and plink with, so you don't have to spend as much money on your larger caliber handgun, I would recommend it, you know. But also check out what else is available on the market, because all the time they're coming out with, you know, cool new 22 rifles and handguns. Like I said, I would look into the Ruger SR22 or the GSG 1911 also, but all in all, it's been a great gun. And if you have any questions, just leave it in the comment section. Thanks, guys.
This is how an angel cries. Blame it on my own surprise. Blame it on my ADD, baby.